sick and tired of hearing things from uptight, short-sighted, narrow-minded hypocrites. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth. I've had enough of reading things by neurotic, psychotic, big-headed politicians. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth.
Welcome to CounterPunch Radio. I am your program producer, Nathaniel St. Clair, and today's episode is brought to you in partnership with Verso Books. You know Verso. They have been publishing important works of theory, history, philosophy, and criticism from the left for over 50 years. A recent title of theirs that I highly recommend is Overshoot: How the World Surrendered to Climate Breakdown by Wim Carton and Andreas Malm. This is a devastating critique of the forces propelling us beyond critical temperature limits. The world is on the cusp of 1.5 degrees of warming. Heat at such levels would be intolerable. And yet, a notion has taken hold that the cause is now lost. The intolerable has become unavoidable. The limit will be overshot, and the best we can do is cool down the earth at some later point by means of technologies not yet proven. How did this happen? How could the idea of overshoot gain traction? What forces are driving us into a climate that people, particularly poor people in the global south, won't be able to cope with? This book takes an unflinching look at the history of the present phase of the crisis, likely to extend decades into the future, as the fossil fuel industry swims in the largest profits ever made. You can find Overshoot at versobooks.com, where CounterPunch Radio listeners can save 20% by using discount code CounterPunch at checkout. All right. On today's episode, Maria Goldschmidt is back, and she brings with her the phenomenal Palestinian writer, translator, and storyteller from Gaza, Eman Alhaj Ali. They have a tremendous conversation about what it's like to be a writer, a storyteller, in the face of a genocide. But before we get to that, I need to give you a peek at the paid portion of our website and remind you that becoming a CounterPunch Plus member is the best way to support our publication. What you will find there isn't bonus content, it isn't fluff, it's first-rate, hard-hitting investigative journalism. For example, this cutting piece by Pete Dolack titled Bourgeois Formal Democracy for Now, but Could Fascism Be the Future? Here's a snippet. The shock and awe tactics of the new Trump administration, as opponents have dubbed them, leave no doubt that the Trump coalition of far-right ideologues, white supremacists, misogynists, and Christian fundamentalists intend to impose as much of their agenda as quickly as possible before an organized opposition can coalesce. That the corporate media is treating the most reactionary and or imperialistic fantasy harbored by Donald Trump, even the apparently serious intentions to annex Greenland, Panama, and Canada as normal and routine, and that Democratic Party office holders began bending the knee even before the inauguration and demonstrated their acquiescence by unanimously approving Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, illustrate all the more clearly that the opposition to the second Trump administration must and can only come from the grassroots. End quote. Now, if you don't have the means to become a member at the moment, another way to really help us grow this podcast is to simply subscribe to the show and leave a rating and review on whatever platform you use to listen. All of that is surprisingly important, so we greatly appreciate the support. All right, let's get to what you came here for. Rebecca in conversation with Eman Alhaj Ali.
I'm sick and tired of hearing things from up uptight, short-sighted, narrow-minded hypocritics. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth. I've had enough of reading things by neurotic, psychotic, pig-headed politicians. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to CounterPunch Radio. My name is Rebecca Maria Goldschmidt, and I am an artist based here in Hiroshima in Japan. And today I have the distinct privilege and pleasure of speaking with Eman Alhaj Ali, who is a Palestinian writer, translator, and storyteller from Gaza. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Eman. Eman, can you introduce yourself and maybe tell us a little bit more about your work as a writer in Gaza?
Hi, Rebecca. Thank you so much for having me here on CounterPunch Radio. Greetings to those who are listening to us now. I'm Eman Alhaj Ali, a Palestinian writer, translator, and storyteller based in Gaza. My work has been featured on various international and local platforms, including the New Arab, Mondoweiss, and the Middle East Eye. I have contributed to anthologies like We Were Seeds and a member of We Are Not Numbers, where I have published like several pieces and contributed to their upcoming anthology. Writing and reading are my true passions. I see that writing is the true heart of reading. That's why I feel that reading actively is like writing. When you take any new words and stories, you start to weave them together and in your mind. Make it like necessary to really get the text. Writing helps you like to untangle those thoughts. Like when a piece of writing inspires you to write, it really completes its purpose. Over the years, I've like bent everything from features and opinion articles to personal testimonies, poems, and fictional stories. I like documenting the world around me, like expressing my feelings through both speech and writing. I firmly believe that writing is crucial for conveying our messages, especially like to those who prefer to read. And words like hold incredible power, and I see it's like as essential to harness that power through writing.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for such a wonderful introduction. I'm also an avid reader and I also enjoy writing. So it's really a pleasure to get to talk to you about how reading and your work as a writer has helped you as a person and your growth, and especially in the current circumstances that you're in, during this genocide that's happening in Gaza and in Palestine. So I'm wondering, maybe you could share a little bit more about the importance of storytelling and writing for you personally over the past 15 months. I'm sure you have encountered many challenges and many obstacles to your work as a writer. So I'm wondering if you want to talk a little bit about storytelling.
Sure. Writing and storytelling like hold significance beyond just the tough times or the crisis we face. So over the 15 months into the devastating Israeli genocide in the Gaza Strip, which began on October 7, 2023. So in those heart-wrenching moments, storytelling and writing take on a profound importance. Unimaginable horrors like relentless evacuation orders forced us to evacuate from one place into another, spread displacement, non-stop bombing and massacres that claimed the lives of our children, the elderly people, and women. So we have battled through diseases in both winter and summer, with many of us like living in makeshift tents, and schools have been like replaced into shelters for those who have been displaced from their homes. The suffering we have endured in Gaza has been nothing short of unimaginable. People of Gaza have been stripped of their basic necessities, like they were forced to leave their homes with nothing but the clothes on their backs. So the loss of life has been like heart-wrenching and challenging for everyone here. I see like the fear that grips the hearts of our children, the desperation of our people, and the widespread of malnutrition and the scarcity of medical supplies. all of these sufferings and experiences from which we have been suffering all over those 15 months. So diseases like diarrhea and hepatitis were spreading widely during those 15 months. So as a writer and storyteller, I felt like compelled to document the horrors that my people have faced, not by choice, but by necessity. So I do believe that writing has become my voice and my way of bearing witness to the atrocities that have been committed against us. My hope for a better future for Gaza. I still remember our late professor Rifat Al-Arayr, may his soul rest in peace, once shared something truly powerful with us. He said that I was raised as a Palestinian on stories and storytelling, and it's selfish and treacherous to keep a story to yourself. Stories exist to be told and retold time and time again. I really believe that every Palestinian's piece of our collective memory. So we are not just statistics you find on a page. We are real people, just like anyone else in this world. Each one of us has our own story and our own dreams. When the world talks about Palestinians living under occupation or in refugee camps, it often boils down to either politics or numbers, focusing only on how many have been killed, injured, displaced, or are dependent on just aid. I see that numbers can be cold and impersonal, sometimes to a sense of numbness. They fail to capture the daily personal struggles and triumphs, or the tears and laughter and the dreams and aspirations that we all share as humans. Unfortunately, Palestinians have been dehumanized in this narrative. Their humanity overlooked, and this is precisely why I believe in the power of writing. It allows us to break through that numbness, to share our stories and to reclaim the depth of our experiences. Honestly, I feel a sense of suffocation when I can't express my thoughts and feelings through writing. It's not just about me, myself. It's about helping others to see the truth of what Palestinians in Gaza are enduring. I've shared my personal experiences during the genocide, the horrors we have faced, witnessing the reality on the ground is something entirely different from reading or watching it on a screen. Writing is a way to amplify our voices and get our stories heard. So that's why I do believe in the power of words. Unfortunately, so many people around the world turn a blind eye to our suffering. I often find myself wondering why are we enduring such suffering, or why are we enduring all of this? What is it our guilt? Is it only being born Palestinian in Gaza and trying to live in our homeland? Many people view us through maybe a narrow lens, either seeing us as unwavering figures enduring suffering and atrocities, as if we are devoid of emotions, or as mere victims to be pitied. So the truth is that we are complex individuals with our own identities, maybe with our own feelings and aspirations. And just like anyone else in the world, we yearn for the simplest rights, to teach and learn, to work, to eat and drink, and for our children to sleep peacefully, just as any other child deserves around the world. So we are the indigenous people of this land, deserving of respect, acknowledgement, and the opportunity to fulfill our dreams. The past 15 months have been incredibly overwhelming and challenging for me as a writer. I struggled from many challenges during those 15 months, from frequent power outages have forced me to rely on charging my devices solar panels. We are still suffering from this issue, and the unstable internet connection that often drives me to walk long distances to search for, to some extent, a stable one. And sometimes I feel as if my hands are tied, struggling to write, as the trauma from witnessing or seeing the horrible and horrifying scenes around me.
Thank you, Eman. Thank you so much for sharing your reflections there. Storytelling, as your teacher Rifat Alarir has said, storytelling is human, and it's such an important part of our processing and amplifying of voices. And I think that's something that you've done so brilliantly in your writings. You know, you've written about so many different things over the past 15 months. You've written about displacement, you've written about the ocean, you've written about backpacks and the importance of backpacks, and you know, having your period in Gaza and what that's like as a woman. So I know that you've experienced things that no one should experience as a human or as a young person. And yeah, I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about your creative writing process, because I think you've told a lot of stories about the daily life of people in Gaza through the genocide and the daily experiences of seeing and witnessing. And I wonder if you would tell us a little bit more about your poetry or any of your creative projects.
It would be my pleasure. Maybe like to share a poem with you. One of the poems I wrote during this genocide called Steps of Hope. So it's like an exploration of the Palestinians' experience, particularly in the context of displacement, war, and resilience. It's a 20-stanza poem that weaves together vivid imagery and evocative language to convey the complexities of my community. So during this poem, I shared many things. I'll recite it with you, but I just wanted to add that I've been inspired by one of Al-Arir's famous poems. It's called I Am You. I've been trying to capture its rhyme and rhythm in my own writing. So he taught us so many poetry courses, and like we all look up to him. May his soul rest in peace. I'm gonna recite the poem. Here it is. 2 steps. 1, 2. Swing wide the door. A new dawn's order. A new world to explore. Fleeing fast through fog and fear. From bustling plugs to barren spheres. Tent to tent in twilight's dread. Haunted by shadows, lost hopes thread. Pale faces in the plumes of dust, sorrowful screams in silence we trust. Crowded corners, chaos reigns, pregnant poses, they bear the pains. Beneath the blazing, burning sun, shaking, shuddering, the races run. To stay or fly, the night brings a fright. Missiles wail, a woeful plight. Water whispers a distant dream, while food fades, a fragile theme. From north to south, the struggle flows, with costly tools that nobody knows. From harsh winter to autumn's chill, this is the life of Gazans tale. 12 months in the grip of strife, 2 steps, 1 for the future, 2 for the shadows of a shattered life. Eager eyes edged with echoing dread, each child's cry carving hope into the bed. Evacuation orders dance like phantoms, evoking fears that feel like a tantrum. Families fractured, forever unfurled, in this fraught, fragmented world. Displacement drags its heavy hand as it dreams dissolve like grains of sand. Amidst the horrors that loom and leer, the ghostly grip of relentless fear, time ticks, treacherous, the clock creeps slow, each second a reminder of what we forgo. Hearts hammer, hard in the hushed cacophony, lost in the labyrinth, aching to be free. Rubble reigns where once there was life, memories mingle with the echoes of strife. Crimson stains the ground, stories untold, embers of yesterday's warmth turned cold. In a world where warmth seems to elude, walls weep, remembering laughter imbued. Yet from the ashes rise voices bright, calling for courage to ignite the night. We are not conquered, nor will we bow. We will forge a path, we will rise somehow. So we take these steps burdened yet bold. In the grip of despair, we will refuse to fold. Two steps, 1, 2, with whispering winds, let resilience renew. Though shadows stretch and hardships loom, hope flickers softly amidst the gloom. Together we will navigate through sorrow and strife, holding on tightly to the threads of life. For every step on this fragile street bring us closer to healing, one heart, one beat. So this was the poem of Steps of Hope. Regarding my creative writing process, often embrace like the approach of show do not tell. So to me, it's all about making like readers feel and experience what I'm writing, rather than like just stating facts. Sometimes like I utilize various figures of speech, particularly imagery and poetry, and sometimes I write free verse, and other times I play like with poetic devices, maybe like alliteration, which repeats consonant sounds in the same sentence, or assonance, which is like the repetition of vowel sounds. And sometimes I use metaphors, irony, maybe like rhymes and rhythms in the lines of the poem. I do believe like poetry originates from a deeper place within our hearts. The poem idea or the idea of a poem sometimes come to me when I come across maybe a powerful photo while scrolling through social media platforms. Maybe one day I saw a picture of a child who sadly died from the harsh cold. His skin like was blue, and I do believe that poetry is deeply rooted in the realities we experience and observe around us. Regarding my publications also, I'm an author of We Were Seeds anthology, which is published by Querentia Press. I wrote its foreword, and one of my poems is there. This anthology like features 60 voices from around the world, writing thoughts about the genocide and wishing peace for Palestine. So for people who wanna like order it, you can find it on Goodreads or Amazon. I'm also a member of We Are Not Numbers. I've joined them years ago, and through this platform, one shares with the world authentic and compelling stories from the next generation of Palestinian writers. I've contributed in their anthology that will be published in the coming April. It's a collection of the best stories and poems over the last 10 years, and it will be available for publication by Penguin Books in the UK. So two of my poems have been included there, and one story of mine are also included. Yeah, that's all.
Thanks, Eman. Thank you so much for reading that poem. And I'm looking forward to reading the poems that are coming out in the We Are Not Numbers anthology as well. You know, it's hard to even put into words, I'm sure, the experiences that you've had. And so just really appreciate you sharing your construction through words and rhyme and rhythm and deep poetry. I think is probably the best way to articulate what has been happening, which is it's not easy to understand or comprehend. And so, yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing your poetry. And it's very different than reading, you know, an article maybe for the New Arab or an article for Mondoweiss or something that's more of a narrative story. So yeah, I appreciate hearing your words in that way, in that style. Yeah, I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about your feelings about the ceasefire and maybe just in general, your experience during the genocide. I know that there have been a lot of changes in the past 2 weeks. And yeah, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your life before the beginning of the genocide, before October 7th, and what that was like for you and how it's been in your own words, over the past 15 months?
My experience during The genocide of during those 15 months, like, will never be forgettable. They like will be etched in my mind forever. So I still remember those horrifying moments since the beginning of this genocide. And the first months when we were forced to evacuate and flee to Rafah, and it was like the first evacuation order for us. Approximately, we have been evacuated for about 7 times during this genocide. When that evacuation order came to us, we were at a loss about what to pack and what to leave behind. I still remember those days when I saw the tearful eyes of my siblings, of my family members, and when we were crammed into a truck, flew to that place. So I didn't see it at that time like a city, the city of Rafah. I saw it as a cage with hundreds of thousands of people there. All of those people were crammed into makeshift tents. So the situation was really miserable and unbearable at that moment. During the months of the genocide, so it was the longest genocide and the longest attack on Gaza. We were hopeful for the months during the genocide, maybe during the months of Ramadan and the Eids that came to Muslims during that year. So we were hopeful for a truce before Ramadan or before the 2 Eids, but tragically that didn't happen at that time. So many of our people lost their lives on the first day of Ramadan. Many people were slaughtered and martyred because of the massacres and bombs here in Gaza. I still remember also when we were forced to evacuate and flee to the beach of the Gaza Strip. So for the first time, I didn't see the sea as a place which brings joy and laughter to the people. I saw the pale faces of people around me. All of them were starving and suffering in the heat with no relief. Even now and before that, I still hear the sound of waves. They didn't comfort at that time. They were bringing me chaos and anger. I still remember also when in November, when my birthday came at that time, I didn't celebrate it because of the genocide. And on the last day of 2024, we hope that people would help us to end this genocide, but that didn't happen. So at that moment, we felt that Gaza has been left like an orphan. There's a difference between my life and the genocide and before the genocide. It's not the only genocide that happened to Gaza, but it's the longest, I can say. We have been living under a suffocating Israeli blockade for over 17 years, and we have been enduring continuous attacks. Yet for many of us, even during this ongoing pain, Gaza often, which is often called as an open air prison, it's like a kind of heaven for many of us here in Gaza. Before the genocide, there were so many places to visit, cafes, markets, restaurants, and shops. Many traditional places to visit the Great Omari Mosque and the Al Zawiya Market. So Gaza had a unique beauty, even in the smallest things. The people of Gaza were finding joy in the little details. We had a strong sense of literacy, creativity, and ambition. Many universities and workplaces have been part of our landscape. Palestinians have felt we belong to this land, and it's our duty to rebuild our community here in Gaza. Before the genocide, I graduated with a degree in English literature and translation, just a few months before the genocide started. So I was really excited to begin my own career, and Even with Gaza's high unemployment rate, I managed to find some work. I was fortunate and I was grateful for that. But then when the genocide began, all of my dreams and hopes turned into ashes. January 19, 2025, which is the day of the announcement of the ceasefire here in Gaza, and when it came into effect. So it was I'm really speechless and I can't describe that day because that day all of the people in Gaza were waiting for. So in the morning of that day, we finally had a ceasefire in Gaza, and it's been such a tough few months. On that day, the streets have come alive with people clapping and chanting. Many of us were counting the minutes until the clock of 8:30 came. So you could, at that moment, we breathed a little easier after everything we have endured during the 15 months. So Gaza now, it's not as it was before. So I see that Gaza has become a graveyard. Maybe the streets we once knew are gone, replaced by the rubble and debris, and the dreams of those lost are scattered among the ruins. So it's heartbreaking, but at least we can breathe for some time, and I hope that will last forever.
I hope that will last forever too. I think what we need is a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and a chance for everyone to rebuild and replenish their dreams and have a better life. And we need an end to the occupation as well. So thank you for sharing your experience. I think, hearing directly from you, Eman, has been so important, not just through your written words, but I think, bringing your voice to the world and your voice to your words was really something unique and important. And that's something that I've really been inspired by, not just the journalists, but the writers and the storytellers of Palestine who consistently bring us their stories. So thank you for sharing what you've had to endure for these past 15 months and even longer. I'm wondering about people moving now that the ceasefire is in place and we're hoping that it lasts forever. We're seeing a lot of people going to the north, back to northern Gaza, reuniting with their family members, people returning. And I'm wondering how that feels to you, and if you have any family members who are returning. What are people's feelings now, and what does the street feel like now with people going back to North Gaza?
People have been returning to Gaza for 3 days, yeah. So the people are still having joy, and we could see the tears of joy in everyone's eyes here in Gaza. So after waiting for hours in streets, many managed to go back to their homes 3 days ago. Even if they had no homes left, many people here want to go back. And what's pushed them to go back is that their love for their land. Their love for their land is so deep. And I saw family members my cousin and my aunts return as we shared emotional farewells for each other. So the streets have been alive with thousands of people walking and driving cheerfully, chanting their return. So the happiness on everyone's faces, both adults and children, unforgettable. I'll never forget seeing a child on the first day of the return. There was a child walking with a cat in the streets. So he had cared for having it for over 15 months while living in a tent in the south of Gaza. So this moment marked the first return for many since the Nakba of 1948. And I'm so happy for my people that they managed to return to their homes, or maybe the rubble of their homes, but they returned.
Thank you. Yeah, the images of everyone walking back and the mass wave of people walking along the beach is a very powerful image and a very powerful indication of people's, the Palestinian people's relationship to their land. So it brings me joy to see everyone feel so happy. We're hoping that, in the coming months, there can be some more aid coming in. And of course, the move to begin to rebuild things and to repair. And again, like you said, people coming back to homes that are completely destroyed and still searching for their loved ones in the rubble. It's a very challenging time, but I'm glad to hear that there's joy in the street as well. So I have another question, which is maybe for you just personally, and maybe less about, what you're seeing on the street, but maybe just what you see for yourself in the future and where you see your dreams from this point moving forward, not only as a writer, but just as a young Palestinian person, living in the world. What do you see for yourself? What do you imagine for yourself and for the Palestinian people?
It's really a challenging question, but we here in Gaza, we hope firstly for lasting peace. So the future is uncertain, to be honest, but I wish things will get better so I can finish my studies and follow my dreams. And I hope for my siblings to go back to school and learn too. It's going to be hard for us to forget everything that happened. So the nightmare still stays with us and we feel scared and hurt inside. I see myself in the future. I really dream to be a professor, inshallah, and I wish I could achieve this dream in the near future. My people are really known for their perseverance and determination. They are committed to rebuilding their homeland, even if it takes years. Before the borders were shut down, lots of my friends and relatives managed to leave Gaza, and those of us who are still here are constantly talking about how to escape Gaza. So there's this overwhelming sense that there is no safety, maybe no opportunities, and no future left for us here. So it's tough because we feel that leaving would mean betraying our country. We don't want to lose our connection to it or give up our claim to it. But honestly, how can anyone live in a place that feels completely unlivable? Sometimes I ask myself these questions, how long until people can start over, and how long will it be before the kids have schools to go back to? Maybe how many more tragedies must we witness here in Gaza? How much longer do we have to watch our dreams shatter in front of our eyes? Maybe how much longer must we endure the suffering in our homeland? But all of us, I know my people are steadfast and determined to rebuild our own land, to start over again, even if that would take years and years, because of our own love for this land, because we feel that's our duty to rebuild it and make it much better than before. We know that we will not see the same Gaza that was before this genocide, but we dream and hope for rebuilding it again. And yeah, that's all.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And yeah, I think in any future for Palestine, what most people want to see is just a thriving community for all, for young people to be able to go to school, for people to have access to hospitals and medicine, for basic rights to food and clean water. I think all of those are things that the Palestinian people deserve and all people around the world deserve. So I'm really grateful for your tenacity and your commitment to sharing your story and sharing what's happened to your communities. And it's so important for everyone around the world to be listening, especially to the young people of Gaza and of Palestine, and to what they've experienced, just not only in the past 15 months, of course, but over many years. And I know we're kind of coming up to our time here, but I wonder if you have any last thoughts or any message that you would like to send to our listeners at CounterPunch, or any final, comments that you'd like to make.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for having me today. So it was like my pleasure to talk with you. And I do appreciate you and CounterPunch Radio for supporting the Palestinian voices and trying to amplify our voices all the time. So my love and gratitude for everyone here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Eman. We're thinking about you every day, and we're praying for Palestine every day, and we're fighting for Palestine every day. So we're here with you, and many greetings to you and your family and your community. And inshallah, we have a free Palestine as soon as we possibly can. Thank you so much for all your hard work.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. That was Eman Alhaj Ali speaking with me, Rebecca Maria Goldschmidt, here on CounterPunch Radio. Thanks for listening.
Short hair.